Hello everybody. Today's subject is abandoned ranch. The only thing is I have personal history with this ranch. I grew up here. I didn't live in it. My uncle lived in it. It was in the family. And we would come here all the time throughout my childhood. There's a lot of memories for me. It's dilapidated, but it is what it is now. It's been abandoned for 30 years or so. I'm thinking 1994, something like that. But let's go inside slowly because it could fall down at any time. So this here was the living room, and that desk was where they would do all the farming business, keep paperwork and stuff like that. Not much left of it anymore. Up on that mantle was an old clock, and we got the clock. It's at my brother's house. A lot of memories. I would mostly sleep in here when I would come over and stay with my uncle at the farm. Sometimes that clock it never ran my whole lifetime. And I was born in '63. I don't remember it running, but sometimes it would just go off and ring. Some people say it was haunted. So there's 4 rooms in this house. This is the front porch. A lot of memories out here. My uncle would play guitar. We would all sit outside because in the summertime it was really hot. And the place looks a lot different now. There's all these trees and brush wasn't here. This was the last time was my uncle had his bedroom in here. And there's a closet. And there's still an old hat up there on the top. I'm not sure whose hat it is. But this was the bedroom for a while, and it was also a living room for a while. Now this room was always the kitchen. That counter over there was always the sink. There was a table in the middle. There was like a china cabinet there where we kept all the dishes. But now there's a huge population of bees living in here. I ate a lot of meals in here. And we would sit around. There was always coffee ready. There was even a telephone for a while in this room. I'm kind of scared to go into this room because of the bees. There's thousands of them over there. The roof has collapsed. It'll soon be down on the ground. This area was a car porch, and it was built in the 70s. And the reason it was built because my uncle, he bought a F-100 Ford Ranger, beautiful truck, and he wanted to protect it. And this is where he would park his truck. It was built, I don't know, 77 or somewhere around there. I don't remember exactly. The roof has fallen down too on this side of it. I'm watching my steps because there is rattlesnakes around here. Now we make our way to the back of the property of the house. There was like a little drive around right here. You could drive your truck back here, a car. There was a little water heater out there. And like I said, it was a very important time in my life. This is basically how I started my I give it credit for starting my mechanical background and the type of work I did. I've worked on airplanes as a mechanic and such, and I kind of learned a lot of stuff about the trade growing up, working on tractors and trucks, and just a little bit here and there learning. This was the fourth room, and it was like a storage room with there was a big freezer right there on the wall. It wasn't used much. I think my cousin lived in it for a while when he first got married, and they had a bedroom here. There's still some dishes. There was a wash basin right here, and for a while it didn't have like running water, and you would wash your face and your hands when you get all dirty and wash them right here. There was like a little steel basin, and you would wash, and then you would throw it out this back door, and then water came. And this is the way it was. I come from very poor background. There's the phone line. Used to be a phone hanging on the wall. This was where you took a bath, and there's the tub right there. On the right side would be the washer, and the dryer was a clothesline. Whether it was cold or hot, you took a bath out here. I remember taking some cold baths and some hot baths, whatnot. There were bricks on the ground, so you could step on them. And that's how my uncles took a bath. There's still some 8-tracks on the floor there from the days gone by. But this little shack was actually where you took a bath. Oddly enough, right there, it is not there no more, but there was an outhouse. And that's where you used the bathroom. There was never a toilet. It was always an outhouse. And that building right there was always a storage shed. What my mom told me is that they would have farm workers come work at the ranch when she was younger. And there was like several houses, I guess they look like this. They're not around anymore. But people actually lived in them and worked for my grandfather. And there at the bottom right there was a trapdoor. And I always wondered what that trapdoor was for. And my mom said there was a lady living in here that worked at the ranch. And she used that trapdoor to cool down the building, to get some air in there. So right here next to this telephone pole was a little welding shop, and in there they had tools and welding rods and stuff like that. And I remember them pulling equipment up to it and welding it on the spot to get things fixed. And there used to be a light up there on this telephone pole. Here's a better shot of that little welding shop. I always call it the welding shop. There at the end, they built a garage, and the welder went out of here. But when I was little, there was a welder in there, and you would bring whatever you wanted to weld next to this little building. These were fuel tanks. One was diesel and one was gas. This is what the tractors would fill up with, the farm trucks, whatever. You had the ag exempt gas in it. And this is where they used to get their gas from. fuel from. For many, many years, a truck would come out here and fill it up, I don't know, once a month or so, and fill up the trucks, fill up these tanks with, one was gas, one was diesel. So I'm walking up toward there where the garage was built, probably in the mid 70s. This was built. I'm making careful steps because my cousin was just here. He was telling me that he just killed 2 rattlesnakes and that they didn't rattle. So, but back growing up, all this was dirt, caliche, dirt, and you could drive on it, and it was no problem. It was a busy place. There was tractors and trucks and all kinds of vehicles coming in here to get repairs. My uncles did overhaul engines here, fix repairs of all types. That's a truck bed trailer. I'm just weary because I don't want to step on something or run into a rattlesnake or a hive of bees. Ugh. So this was a concrete slab that was poured here to get you off the dirt whenever they would park a tractor on here. There's a workbench. There was the air compressor. They had a welding machine there. You can still see the plug. I helped rebuild my dad's car, Chevy 350, and I had a Buick that I modified and put a Buick, was it a 455 in it back in my younger days. This was a mobile air compressor that I remember using it, and it's just a car AC compressor to use as an air pump. My uncles were had a lot of ingenuity because their father, my grandfather, was very mechanically inclined, very smart. He spoke German, Spanish, and English. He was a German immigrant, and he taught them what he knew. And I would hear stories about how good of a mechanic he was. And he was a farmer and rancher. He had all kinds of livestock out here. Sorry about the sun. A bunch of pennies here. I don't know if it's still here, but oh, it's gone. There was a water cistern right here, big old tank that used to catch water from the roof of this thing. Now, if you're wondering why the roof is so torn off right here, there's this interesting story about that. My uncle, who lived here permanently, Rudolph, one night a tornado came and barely missed the house and knocked down this building and some other buildings that we're going to go look at here in a little while. But this shed, this mechanic shed, was quite large. I want to say it was, I'm guessing 40 feet long, maybe longer than 40 feet. And what is looks about 30 feet wide. I don't know the actual measurements, but I remember when they were building this, and they built this all by hand with just pipes, trussels, no engineers here. They just piece it together. This is all that's left of the original building. But a lot of work was done here, all kinds of repairs. Like I said, I did a 350 Chevy engine. I helped do my dad's car, and one of my hot rods was a Buick Regal. My dad gave me a Buick Regal, and I hot rodded it. It was and put a 455 in it. Air hose still rolled up like it was in the day, waiting for somebody to come fill up the tire. I still remember the sound. You can see that's the house right there. It's only maybe, I don't know, 40 feet away from this garage. And this is the garage. That's how close it came. My uncle came from losing his life or getting seriously injured. It just missed it and tore this thing up, this shed up. He was terrified. This was a trailer. It had no suspension on it, and it rode really rough. I remember riding in it. They would put grain in it. Sometimes we'd load hay in it. It was very well used, but very rough. There was no suspension. It was red. It looked like a little red wagon. Had wood all the way around it. It's long gone. But I remember it well, very well. I still remember the sounds that it would make when we would go down the road, of the boards slapping every little rock and every little bump. Well, I was going to take you to the shed. It was actually a pen back here. That's some of it right there, but I can't get to it. There's so much brush. It's just, I wanted to show you. It was a corral, and different livestock would be in there: goats, pigs, cows, calves, various. But I can't even see the fence anymore. Oh, there's some of it back there. You can see it behind there. So overgrown. Some type of hopper. I don't remember this thing being used much when I was growing up. I think it's before my time, or when I was really young maybe. Alright, so moving on. This was the barn. We played a lot in there. It would be filled all the way to the top with hay bales, square bales at that time. There'd be a lot of rats in there. And me and my cousin, I was just talking to my cousin. He actually still lives here on the property. They have a mobile home over there nearby. And this was a barn. A lot of memories in this barn too. I actually rode in that boat a long time ago. My cousin, he bought it, and he was into boating, trying boating, and he bought it from somebody, and it rode for a while. I remember going out to, I think it's called Choate Lake, or something like that. It's here near Three Rivers. There was some tractors parked in here that were, of course, not operational, very, very old. but they sold them recently. I found out some guy wanted some old vintage tractors, a Farmel 340, and I don't remember the other one, the International, I forget the other one, was my Uncle Henry's favorite one. On this side of the barn was the original house, and I remember that house, and there's a picture of it. And it was, when I was growing up, it was used as a barn. All the walls have been knocked out, and they would fill it up with hay. It was a tall structure. It was a good looking house. It had like a steeple almost. Kind of like a church. Oh, another story. We used to get up on the roof on this barn and slide down the roof. It was our little thrill that we would have. This ranch is nearly almost 400 acres. It was more than that. I think it was over 600, but my grandfather had to sell some of it during the Depression. My mom said that was the only time she ever saw him cry. During those times when the crops wouldn't come up. Sorry. And he was from my understanding, because he died in '62, before I was born. Get out of here. And he was very stern, my understanding, typical German. I don't know. I'm a mix. There was a old blacksmith shop right over there. There's nothing there now. The tornado that I was telling you about knocked it down. But it had an anvil in it, had a hand crank fan that you could blow up the coals, and I remember them using it. They were still using it in the 70s. A lot of memories here. Lots of memories. And you see it like a jungle here. I see it as a road through here. I remember old cars being parked over there, junk cars for parts, and that belonged to the family, and then it would break and it was too expensive to fix or whatever. Well, me and my cousin, we would start them up, and we did it to two cars here, 57 and 59 Ford. And we would use them here at the farm to drive. True story. Coming here every day after school, jumping on a breaker bar, trying to break the engine loose so it would spin over. Nobody thought we were gonna get it started, and we got it started, and we kept it for I don't know how long, a year or so. And then they would take the cars away from us because we were too dangerous. So it was, you know, remember I don't remember, I was 13 or 14 years old. There's another building back there. Can't hardly see it, but it was where you would have the implements. Mostly like balers and such. So the barn's right here, right across the road. There used to be a road here. Was a big shed where the combines would be. This thing was about 25 feet tall or more, and you would park the combines. It was big enough for two combines. Yeah, they had two combines here at one time. We took an old combine one time, and it was really old. I'm talking probably from the 40s or older. And we stuck a motor on it, and there was no body on it. It was just a steering wheel and the seat. and it was front wheel drive, of course, because it was a combine. And we put a little house on the back of it, me and my cousin, and it was our Winnebago, is what we called it, because I think at the time my dad actually bought a Winnebago. And we drove it for a while. Coming out here reminds me of how short life can be and how quick things can change. And I just know what happened here because I grew up here. There was a little pond back here. You might see the depression. And since the house was right there by the barn, my mom would say sometimes the grandpa would come out here and take a bath in that pond. Be strange for us to now do something like that. We grow up in a world of convenience. But my mom said that was some of the happiest times in her life. Mom's 94. Well, I want to thank you for watching this video. Share a lot of stuff. Damn, these gnats are everywhere. Some of it was hard for me to talk about. Now around us, hardly any farmers are around. We have oil fields everywhere now. And the farm actually makes more money now. The ranch, or what do you want to call it, makes more money now than it ever has. But my uncles and my grandfather, they never got to experience that. True story is one of my neighbors one time, he was a preacher and he was a ex-oil man. He told me one time, you know, there's a lot of oil here. This is back in the 70s also. He said, but they don't have the technology to get it out of the ground. And well, now we have fracking, and it's the new industry here. It's what people find work. People from out of town come through here to work here in this part of the country, Karnes County and surrounding areas. There's a thing called Eagle Ford Shale. And it's a shell formation under the ground here. Evidently has a lot of oil, and we get, you know, royalties out of it. Believe me, it's not making me rich, but I'm thankful for it. But the people that worked here and grew up and worked hard to make this farm be here are not here to enjoy the fruits of that technology. At night, you'll see like these flames all around here from all the burning off the waste gas. It's a different world. I'm walking around with a phone in my hand, filming myself, and then putting it on YouTube. You would have told me that when I was a kid I'd be doing this. Ah, damn nuts. I would tell you that's crazy. Again, thank you for watching, and see you next time.